Tom, we need one of your cameras on, mate.
Oh, that.
Yeah. There is a downside to it, but it's sort of obligatory for the session.
Well, the downside is probably more for you and everyone else.
I'm to the point now where I get on an audio call with somebody and I don't know how to act. Like if I can't see you, I don't know how to have a conversation anymore. It's tough.
Do they keep
Anyway,
telling you
guys,
on mute?
I am going to introduce to you Brett Jones, who you just saw speaking there. I've been following Brett's work for a long old time. When I was just chatting with Dominica there, I think the first time came across it on his Kettlebells from the Ground Up DVD, which being on DVD probably puts it on the timeline somewhat. I don't know if Chelsea and Kay know what one of them is, but it was when on the video timeline, it's somewhere between sort of Netflix and cave paintings.
Nope, I have no idea.
But if you do come across that DVD, it is, or do you have it on more modern media these days, Brett?
Oh, DVD. I know. I think it's a DVD. I know DVDs are like Blu-rays.
Well,
yeah, it's not quite back to the Betamax days, but it's getting close.
Not VHS.
VHS.
And I would say that Kettlebells from the Ground Up is probably still the seminal work out there on the Turkish Get Up, which all of you are familiar with, and I know has helped each and every one of you here. Brett is also very much renowned for his work with Indian clubs and all things kettlebells. So I will take a back seat and I will try very hard to keep my gob shut. And you all know how hard that is. And I will hand over to Brett.
Well, Steve, thank you. It's great to be able to be here and to work with all of you. And I actually will get off of my seat here in a second and do a few things. But amazing. I first heard of Steve on the podcast with Gray and Lee, and hearing about his journey and the way that he's approached everything, and just an honor to be here and have a chance to work with everybody. And yeah, so you mentioned, do we have it in any other more modern medium? Yes, you can access that through the Functional Movement website. So it is one of our online products through functionalmovement.com, Kettlebells from the Ground Up, and Kettlebells from the Ground Up 2, where we go into a bit more kind of corrective strategies. And working with everything. So short story about me and Gray and how I came to be here is I took my first job out of grad school at a little old military academy in Chatham, Virginia, which just happens to be Gray's hometown. And Gray walks into my training room and says, "Hey, I'm Gray Cook. Do you need any help?" And as he tells it, he went back to the clinic that day and goes, "I don't think this kid knows who I am." So a very Gray statement, but that was back in '95. And so I worked with Gray in my training room and in his clinics from '95 to '97, and then was part of the first FMS workshops. And then Gray and I got back together years later, and that led to the Secrets of series, Kettlebells from the Ground Up, the development of the FMS Level 2 materials, and we were approaching things from a corrective and movement standpoint, because I had gone deep down the kettlebell path and got certified with Pavel in February of '02. So I've been teaching and swinging kettlebells for over 20 years now, 22 years, and have been traveling and teaching it with Pavel and Strong First for 21 years now. So enough time in to have learned a thing or two on a lot of this. So what Steve and I talked about as far as getting into today's session was going to be looking at really the first two steps of the get up. And I think there's a lot of people that blow by these first two steps. And I think, I hate to put a percentage on it, but 60 to 70% of the benefit of the get up is in the first two steps, in being really good and getting to the elbow and to the hand and how you reverse those movements. So also happens to be very accessible portions of the get up. So we were going to do that and then talk about some of the basic Indian club techniques and how we could maybe, work through those. I know you guys already have some experience with the clubs, so we'll kind of touch on all of that. And then maybe we'll play around with some figure eights to work on maybe a little crossing midline and kind of working through a couple of different patterns. So if anybody has any questions, if you need anything, feel free to either throw a question in the chat, Steve will get it to me, or unmute yourself and scream, and we'll get you taken care of. So I'm not very fancy, not very formal. We're going to be playing with my camera angles here and making sure that everybody can see everything that we need to see, and we'll get things going. So before we get started, questions, comments, hostile remarks?
Yeah.
I don't have kettlebells. What would you recommend in terms of weight and type and all?
So actually with early work on the, and I'll show this here in a second, early work on the get up, I would use a shoe balanced on the fist, or a nice foam sort of yoga block that's balanced on the fist. It's going to force you to have to really pay attention to the transitions. And a light dumbbell is also, really accessible and usable for the get up. So one of the reasons we like the kettlebell for the get up is the way the kettlebell sits in the displaced center of mass kind of helps guide your shoulder into some different positions where the dumbbell will not. But a shoe balanced on the fist, like I said, nice little foam yoga block balanced on the fist, or a dumbbell, great ways to get started with the get up.
And I will buy some. Is there a way you would recommend?
So I think depending on your base level of strength, somewhere for maybe a more senior population, the 6 to 8 kilo, probably 6 kilo, and 6 kilo is roughly 12 to 13 pounds. Which might sound heavy, but the way you use it in the get up is actually more accessible. And then that opens up the possibility for, holding on to it for things like deadlifts and, things of that nature. So I wouldn't err on going way too light, but I think that the ballpark 6 kilo would be a good starting weight.
Thank you.
Steve, you know this young lady better, so does that sound like a good recommendation?
Yeah, what we the majority of the work we've done is with the empty hand. There's a couple of the guys and girls in the group who use the kettlebell. We've gone for the shoe in the past, but often ataxia is the balance, the challenge or the barrier for that there. It's ironic that I think they find it easier with the well, it's actually not ironic, it's a classic that people will find it easier with the kettlebell than they will with a shoe because of the integrity of alignment they've got to keep. But absolutely everything that Brett said is nailed on there. if you
Good.
can go with the kettlebell, it's such a wonderful exercise. It has a conversation with you. It talks to you. It tells you where you need to go. Tells you where you shouldn't go. And that neurological conversation is such a benefit to people who've been through, who've lost movement through brain injury. But I did promise I was going to shut up. So, well,
and we can talk about how you would use an Indian club. You know, if you have a pair of Indian clubs, we can talk about how you would just put an Indian club in your hand and use it for the get up as well. So let's talk about how we get started with the get up and what position we want to be in, and then kind of get a little more specific with getting to the elbow in the get up, and maybe a drill that you might not have seen so far to help improve the roll to the elbow. So I need to tilt down just a little bit more. Okay, so if I was getting ready to do a get up, and don't worry, there's more space between me and that kettlebell than there appears, then I want to, we call it a sweat angel. So instead of a snow angel, we do a sweat angel, and we make our 45-degree angles. So if the arm is up, the leg is up, and it's still out on that 45-degree angle, this hand is down at a 45-degree angle, and we're going to go thumb up instead of palm down. From this position, it is a drive from the hip that helps me in getting to the elbow. Now, once I'm at the elbow, I want to pause and look, because what I want to see is a nice straight line down my arm to the ground. I don't want to be shoulder outside the elbow, and I don't want to be elbow outside the shoulder. I want to end up in a position where I'm straight elbow directly underneath the shoulder. That's going to let me roll back and forth in a nice, efficient manner. Okay. And that will mean that while we start with our 45s being the base for the movement, you might end up a little further away or a little closer. It all depends on limb length. The length of your humerus and your torso length will determine really where that arm is supposed to be. So start with a 45-degree angle, but then once you're there, take a look and make sure you're in the right spot. Now, this roll to the elbow is the most challenging part of the getup. And we're going to do a little drill here that I love oxymoronic and counterintuitive things. So, like I said, when we're talking about getting to the elbow, I'm talking about having a strong drive, pushing through that foot and having this strong drive to the elbow. But the way I'm going to get better at it is I'm going to eliminate this leg. I'm going to pick this foot up off the ground, and now I have to figure out how to get to my elbow without this leg. And notice I still come across towards midline and squeeze myself up to the elbow. So I'm not trying to leave this leg out here. I'm actually using it. Once you've done 4 or 5 of those, plant that foot and drive to the elbow, and you're actually going to find yourself stronger in getting to the elbow. So I see a bunch of people already down on the ground, ready to give this a try. So
question, are you reaching, a definite reaching with the right arm?
that's a great question. And so I actually want, if I have a weight in my hand in particular, the arm's definitely going to be straight, but I'm not reaching with it. I'm keeping it connected. So if we think about it from we'll show it in this plane. That would be reaching away or disconnected, and that would be connected. And so that I can take into any plane of movement and have that shoulder connected, but the arm straight. And so that's what we're shooting for throughout the getup.
Sorry, Brett, I was a little bit late on getting the camera on you there. I want to show the disconnected and connected.
Sure. So if I'm projected forward like that, I'm disconnected at my shoulder. And if I bring that shoulder connected back to my body, now I'm in a really strong, solid position. And we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you a goofy little drill for the other steps of the getup here in a minute. And because shouldn't some of our cueing be goofy? Shouldn't we have a little fun? But for right now, let's just focus on getting to the elbow. And so try one with the foot on the ground. Then you're going to do 3 to 4 without the foot on the ground. Then plant and go to the elbow again. And then we'll talk about the bottom and the top arm a little bit more. So once you get to the elbow, take a look down, make sure you've got that nice straight line down the outside of your arm. Looks like you might be a little, Tom, yep, there you go, perfect. I like it. And just a thumb up, in not palm down and not palm all the way up, just a little thumb up.
Yeah. Remember, guys, what I've been teaching previously is being the arm out on the closer to the 90, and then that's when you have the elbow flip. What Brett's been teaching here is have it down at 45 degrees and the thumb pointing up, so you don't have the elbow flip. You roll up the arm.
Yep.
That's it, Santiago, just like that. See that again?
Yep. Good.
That looked good, Gary.
So Gary, that's a little, you're trying to sit straight up instead of rolling to the side. So make sure as you're coming up, there's definite, yes, 45 degrees. Just watch the knee that's beside you there. Good.
Think of it like your arm-led roll, guys.
Yep.
You know, and so it's not a sit-up. Yes, look at that, mate.
Good.
Well done.
Good, good. Yep.
Huh. A little off camera, Chelsea. What's with the headphones? You auditioning for fame or something? Nice.
Good. And try, once you've tried a couple without the foot on the ground, put the foot back on the ground and try one where you really get that leg drive and see what it feels like.
Okay, it could be interesting if you want to try a few with the with the let's get the roll on a sit up. Brett's because Kay's hemiplegic.
I can't do it with one leg up.
No?
Got it.
You want to see if maybe Brett will spot something?
Come here. What, with the leg up or leg down?
Leg up. Yeah, that's fine like that.
Yep, that's fine. And then everything's going to come across the midline. Yep. and then to the elbow. Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
What? Let me take you off.
Yeah, Kay's got very little use in the arm, and we're regaining ever more use out of the leg.
Understood. Good.
That's great, Kay.
It's a lot
So that's a
harder.
good sit-up. Good. We call that a get up, set up.
So what
Good.
feels different when the leg's down, Kay?
It's not. It's my arm that's different because I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I haven't got the drive. I think it's this.
That wasn't too
Okay.
bad.
Yeah. Try it with the old arm position. See what it feels like.
Just as difficult, it turns out.
Well, you've also done quite a few reps, so it might be time to take a small break. Yeah, exactly. So did anybody see a change when you removed the leg and then went back to having the leg on the ground?
It was easier.
Yes.
It's easier to use, like, and push yourself over.
Exactly. What removing the leg really does for you is it really encourages that 45-degree roll. You have to squeeze everything towards midline and produce the roll versus the sit-up. So once you've removed the leg and you kind of get that idea of squeezing towards midline, right? Then once you plant this and you still have that roll towards midline, now you take advantage of the drive from the leg and you have a better roll to the elbow. Now, the question came up of what are we doing with this arm? And so first thing I want to talk about is this base arm, because what's happening here is as important as what's happening here. So what I'm doing here is kind of pushing the ground away. So I'm not passively taking the load into my shoulder. I'm actively pushing the ground away. This is hanging out watching TV, right? This is just kind of laying on the beach. What I want to do is actively push that ground away and try to create space so that I've created this nice stable spot here to the point that I could lift my hips if I wanted to. But when I do that, I have to be really pushing through the ground here. So I've got this super strong shoulder and the ability to kind of lift my hips just a little bit. Now I'm not ignoring the top arm because this would be the excited kid asking a question. And then that would be my shoulder connected to my body. So if you just get in this position and you think about bad position, push the ground away, good position, you'll immediately begin to feel how this disconnects the shoulder and doesn't feel good. And when you push the ground away, you get this really solid shoulder position. Then if you take that top arm and you reach away and then pull it back into your body, reach away, pull it back into your body, you'll start feeling really solid in that position. Good.
Think about the position of your foot, Timur, if you wanted to lift those hips.
More like this.
Yep. You got that. You got a good shoulder position. Feel like you're pushing the ground away with that left arm on the ground. And then if you just kind of push through the heel of that right foot and try to lift your hips just an inch off the ground. Good. And back down. Yep. So just
Nice.
barely break the ground and back down. Yep. And back down. Good. And back down. Yep, that's enough. Yep, that's good. Good. And then if you think with that top arm, reach away, there's something on the ceiling that you want to reach for, and now pull that shoulder back towards you. Good. And reach away and pull it towards you. And take a break, and then we'll see it on the other side.
Yeah, I can feel it working the shoulder. Yeah.
Definitely. How did the bridge feel when you were lifting your hips up?
Pretty good. Yes,
Okay.
not bad.
I think that's going to be a great practice position for you, Timur, for the kneeling position, for getting the hips up.
Right.
A sticking point for you, hasn't it?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Well done.
Good.
Yeah.
Maybe reposition that left leg just a smidge so you're in a nice comfy position. Doesn't have to be too open. Yep, solid, pushing that ground away on the right arm. Yep, that's it. That little inch off the ground is great.
Nice.
That's nice, Timur.
Yeah, it's much harder on this side.
But it's a nice introduction for you to the feel of getting a controlled lift of those hips.
Right, right.
Yep. So, and then, yep, reach for the ceiling and then pull that shoulder down to you. Yeah. This side, I can really see the reach away and the pull back. Looks good. So we're always thinking about that base arm.
Hey, go on then, Rob. You want to have a...
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe your 45s. Legs and arms, that's it, mate.
And for everybody that's not on camera, once you practiced a couple of reps, take a break for a second. You don't have to, this isn't a continuous exercise class.
That's nice, mate.
Good. Maybe bring that left arm down just a little bit. Rob?
That left arm wants to be more 45 than 90, Rob.
Yep.
Yes, that's nice, mate. If you're gonna lift the hips, Rob, have the foot on the floor.
So actually, I mean, that's a different hip lift than we were talking about, but that's progressing towards a side plank. Right? So what you were doing, Rob, is if I'm in this position, and Steve can spotlight me here for a second. If I'm in this position, right, and I lift my hips, I'm in a side plank. But if I plant this foot and lift the hips, Now I'm doing more of a hip extension. So it's two different exercises, but both are great. So if you're here and you lift the hips, nice little side plank. If you're here and you lift the hips, we're really doing a glute bridge on one side. And so both are great. And, you know, both are possible from this side elbow position. And Rob, the one thing I would say is if you get into this position and then you shoot to have that elbow more underneath your shoulder, both of those moves will feel different.
Gonna go, Rob?
Then push down through that elbow. There you go. Good. Yep, I can see you reaching for the ceiling and then pulling that arm back in. Nice. Good. And then if you take that right foot and put it on the ground, and now push down through that right foot and see if you can lift your hips just an inch off the ground. Awesome. And back down.
Nice, Rob.
Awesome. Remember, just start with a little bridge. Just ½ inch off the ground. Good. Take a break. Nice. And then you got to do the other side. That's the cruel thing of doing you know, one-sided exercises is you get to come back on the other side where applicable. Okay, open that chest. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yep. Remember, Timur, you just have to lift that hip ½ inch off the ground. Make it a nice small movement. It's like the old story of how you eat an elephant. One bite at a time. If you try to swallow the whole thing off the bat, it's going to be too much. Okay, let's everybody take a break, and we're going to do something a little different. And this is something that we wanted to kind of play with a little bit. And we can do this from seated. We can do this from tall kneeling. We can do it from half kneeling, you know, wherever you're comfortable. And we're going to start with just the arm in front of us. And all we're doing is a figure eight. Now that figure eight can be as small or as big as you want it to be. But the more we get towards midline and cross over, the better. And then we switch directions. So we're going to draw the figure eight in both directions.
TJ, you can sit on your ankles for this one, mate.
Yep. Yeah, you can be here if you're comfortable here. If you are more comfortable in a chair for this, this is one of those things that doesn't matter where you do it. So if we think of coming over the top into the figure eight, and then we're going to reverse and come underneath the figure eight. And then, of course, we're going to do it on the other side. Which directions? Nice. And remember, just start with as small a figure eight as you need to feel like you've got good control of this.
That's a great effort to get to that position there, TJ. I watched that. That was all by yourself, mate. Well done. Don't forget to integrate your breathing.
So TJ, one of the things you could do right there is leave your left hand on your thigh. So you've got kind of a base of support. And now you're just going to do a nice little figure eight with the right. Nice. Now, don't be concerned if right now it doesn't feel like a figure eight. It will come along, but you're doing a really nice job there. And just having that little bit of support from your dog and from your left hand is really, really good. If that was my cat, it would be trying to knock me over and be mean, but dogs are very helpful. So, okay. And now let's just switch hands. We'll put the right hand on the thigh. Give yourself a nice little support there. And just nice and small. Start with whatever works. Good.
Nice, TJ.
Nice little figure eights. Good.
Put your hand for a second. See if
Well
it
done,
feels
TJ. Take a break. Well done.
Okay,
Now,
sorry.
we're going to do one more thing.
You know,
I'll carry on then, shall I?
I was about to say, you
No, no.
just took a break and then we spotlight you.
you're all right, Kay. Brett's going to talk. You can have a rest.
Okay.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to combine these two sides. So both arms are going to be doing the figure eight. And one of the things, if you need a point of stability, you can kind of hold an Indian club. Or not. Where you just kind of, now we're playing with the figure eight, doing it on both sides at the same time.
Nice, Gary. It'd be nice if you could get onto your knees, though, Gaz. I think you've definitely got that in you. That looks stable, Timo.
I like it.
Can I grip my hands together to make my left arm?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep, this could be palms together sort of position. Nice.
And try to visualize your left arm being involved in it, though, Kay.
Yeah.
That's nice. Certainly both shoulders are involved.
Yep.
Is it important to keep the hands at the same level versus getting them all like that?
They can, what do you mean by same level?
Well, if you can see how my hands are level here versus one slightly above the other.
Now you can actually, yeah, you can play with this a little bit and let a little bit of what we'll call body English kind of slip in there. Although what you've got going on in your figure eight there is you have a big up loop. So think of a flatter sort of figure eight. And hit the opposite direction. So for those of you that have been practicing, if you don't know if you hit the other direction, you probably didn't. So probably switch and try the other direction. Good. Mary, that looks good. Now, to make this a little more get up specific, I'm going to lie down and do a couple things here. So just kind of bear with me here. I'm going to try to get the best view possible for you guys. So if I think about just being in the starting position and I bring an arm up, well, let's just practice our figure eights from our get up start position. So I can do figure eights with each arm. I can do both arms. Now, if I bend the knee and then I bring this knee up, now, if you can straighten the leg, that's great. But if your leg is bent, let's think about drawing a figure eight with our knee. So now, I've got a little figure eight going with my knee. Obviously, other side.
Look, transfix Santiago.
Taking it in.
Through a little bit of action.
So that figure eight with the knee while you're in lying in that position, it's kind of tough. And let unflex the hip. Think about having a 90-degree hip. That leg, perfect. That's right where I want you. So now Santiago, that left knee is drawing your figure eight. And it's going to be a fairly small figure eight, right? But we're definitely feeling that we're coming across towards midline and then dropping down and coming up and dropping down and coming up.
Bring both your legs up. This one up just a little bit, and this one. I think you have to be about right there. And then use this one.
You're doing great. You're doing great, ma'am. That's exactly the tip he needed. Yep. Good. And in the end, we try to keep the hips the pelvis still and do the motion through the knee. But right now, if there's a little body English happening, that's all good.
That's great stuff, Gary. It's all exploring new stuff, mate.
Absolutely. And then try the other side when you get a chance. Yep. Good. Nice and controlled. Just take your time. Make the circle as small or as large as you need it.
Nice stuff, Gary.
Good. I can see you really working on getting that figure eight in there.
Mary just before was going with the with an extended knee. Do you see that as beneficial as well, Brett?
Yeah, I mean, you can
Demonstrate
definitely
again,
work
Mary.
towards having the leg up and then drawing your figure eights from this position. It's weird. My leg is more straight than the pants. The pants make it look. But being able to draw your figure eight here is a little bit different, right? But doing it with the knee is also really good.
That's it, Gary. See, Mary, you were ahead of the game there, doll.
Absolutely.
What?
Try with your legs straight.
And that movement towards midline, you know, Steve and I were talking the other day, that kind of movement towards midline. So TJ, I would go more with the knee bent. Yep. Because that's actually, you know, when you can't get the leg pretty much vertical, you're going to load the hip flexor and the low back a lot in trying to do that. So the bent knee is going to take the pressure off the back and force you to kind of focus on what's happening at the hip. It's actually harder with the knee bent.
It's improving all the time, that though, TJ.
Absolutely.
Control.
This is definitely one of those things that the first time you do it, it's going to feel really foreign. And then as you do it, it starts to connect. Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to try to connect this to our getup. So if I'm getting ready for this side getup, I'm going to do my figure eights, just to, you know, call it 3 in each direction. I'm going to do 3 in each direction with the knee. And then I'm going to roll to the elbow 3 times. Then plant the foot and get to the elbow. Then, of course, do it on the other side.
First up, Timo.
Yep, so 3 figure eights in each direction.
And then the knee.
You got it.
Then some figure 8.
Yep.
And then roll with the foot down.
Let's do 3 getting to the elbow with the foot off the ground.
Okay.
By the way, Kay, I saw that. It was really impressive, that doll. Well done.
Want my knee aches.
Well done, Timo.
There you go. Push that ground away. Now let's do one with that foot planted.
I'm sorry, what?
Let's do one with that foot planted. So let's put that right foot down and drive to the elbow. You got it. Good. Good. Go ahead to the other side there, Timur. So for everybody else that's trying this, how's it feeling?
Corey, we're a little bit sunblasted here. Well, we can see you. Don't worry.
It's tiring.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's, you know, low reps, 2 or 3, take a break. Don't wear yourself out.
Nice though, Corey. Getting there, mate.
It's a lot of work on the eyes.
On the eyes. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot better, Corey.
Just so you, Chelsea.
And I suspect a lot of people like me have poor fine motor control, so drawing the eights is not easy.
Very
Doing
choppy.
the figure eights.
You're doing great,
That's where the
Tom.
benefit will come, though, Tom. It'll become easy.
Yeah.
No point
Don't
teaching
you
you stuff you can
remember?
do already.
And then you get a new number.
And so the idea here is as we're drawing these lines and we're coming across midline, there is a lot that happens neurologically as we cross midline. And so, and that's, you know, in the getup with bringing that leg across when we're practicing without the foot on the ground, you know, we get some really good stuff happening. Plus, if this is all new, we're really laying down some new pathways and challenging the process.
Nice, Corey.
Good.
You're on camera, Chelsea.
I'm challenging my brain.
Absolutely. Figure eights are a great way to do that.
Oh yeah, they are. It looks so easy, but when you do it, it's actually really hard.
Well, I have been practicing my figure eights for like 30 years. So
Yeah.
That's good.
I first learned about these when I was initially working. So it's not quite 30 years, but a long time. This is something Gray used to challenge people with.
No wonder your figure eights are so good.
It does make a difference.
That's it. Make sure you roll, TJ. That's excellent.
Good.
Fred, I'm curious your thoughts. I've done the drawing with my foot on the floor before. Have you done that?
So, like in a seated position and
Yeah, like if I sit in a chair, I draw the alphabet with my foot. You know, A, B.
mm-hmm.
They're just similar, but it's on the floor.
It is similar. I think that you get into a lot of different patterns by doing that. I think the ability to try the figure eight with that and make sure you're coming kind of across midline will also be a good move to put in there.
I like it. Yeah, the midline.
Yep. Excellent.
I like it.
Looking nice, TJ. Yes. Well done, mate.
Good.
That's it. Now roll. Don't go into the sit-up. Roll it, mate.
Yep. Drive down to that elbow. You can take that arm out a little bit more. There you go. Yep. Drive down. There you go. Nice. Okay. So let's talk clubs here for just a second. And when we're in a position where, and let's go. Yeah, I'll just go down into tall kneeling because I know you guys have done some work from tall kneeling. One of the issues you'll have with tall kneeling, back up just a little bit more, is the ground, right? So we probably have to choke up just a little bit on the club to make sure that we have a nice little clearance of the ground. One of the things we want to think about is notice that when the arm hits my ribs, the elbow bends. So instead of, this is one where we're not going to throw away across. We're going to stop the upper arm, boop, and let it bend and come up. Let it flow out, let it flow in. And just kind of nice and easy, just letting that club extend the arm and pull it back. But again, once the arm hits the ribs, boop, the elbow bends and brings the club around. And it makes that noise. It's weird. Boop, boop, boop.
Okay.
Nice, Corey.
Good.
Blew it, that, Santiago. Nice, mate.
Good.
Maybe rest back on your feet. Okay, that's calming on. Rest on the back of your, yeah. Around your body.
Timo, that's brilliant. That tall kneeling was great.
Yeah, but it's good for a
I know.
minute.
I broke your concentration there. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, Steve shared a couple of clips of other sessions with you guys, and that's really nice tall kneeling. I can see the difference, Timur.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah, everybody's doing great. And then I saw somebody with 2 clubs.
Yeah, I thought I'd try it.
Rob, that looks good. So yeah, 2 clubs is what I was going to show next. And here's where we're crossing midline in a different way. Because now the clubs cross and come out, cross and come up, cross and come out, cross and come up. And if you want to get fancy, you can think about which hand's in front. Left hand's in front, right hand's in front.
We got to bend those elbows, Rob.
Yep. Careful as you come through. Nice and slow.
Want to continue round there, though, Rob. Continue round so that your fist is vertical. Keep coming, keep coming.
So bend your elbows.
Keep
And-
bending, Rob.
So you'll have to get your left arm out from underneath your right arm. So bend your right arm more. So, hey, Rob, let's set the clubs down for just a second. And if Steve spotlights me for just a second, see the position I'm in right now?
Yeah.
This is where you're going to end up with the clubs. So the clubs will end up here. Then they'll drop and come back to here.
That's in his class.
Nice and slow. Okay. Just kind of combining a couple of moves there, Rob. It's good.
You want just go back to one hand then, Rob. Just one hand.
Yeah, let's go one arm.
There's just that strap.
Now, that elbow should stop at the side, Rob. And then the forearm comes round like the arm of a clock all the way up to 12 o'clock. But drop the elbow, and point the club horizontal.
I think she kind of punched it.
So point the club to your left.
Yeah, I'll show you, Brett, and I'll shut up.
And notice that I'm choked. I'm choked up on the club. And the club's pointing to my left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then come across. And then come back. Yep. Now it's going to point to the right, to your right. Yep.
Sure. So
I'll mimic you.
Okay.
If you follow me on screen.
Okay. Maybe we can talk after that. All right. I love you.
See how Rob's Brett's arm stops at his side. That's it. But then keep that elbow going round, mate, and come up to 12 o'clock.
Yep, that'll come.
Yeah, Timur's nailed it. Have a look at Timur, mate.
Yep. And look at that tall kneeling position.
It's magic, isn't it?
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, everybody take a break.
I was looking nice, TJ.
So does anybody have any questions? Kind of the way I wanted to approach today was a little different drill for getting to the elbow in the get up. And I mean, that's just training for life, right? If you end up on the ground, how are you going to get up? You're going to need to be able to get to your elbow. You're going to need to be able to make those transitions. If you get stuck on your back, I mean, it's just tough, right? And then the figure eights are a nice little movement kind of exploration. And so if I was sitting in a chair, which I am, you know, I can bring all of these into my seated position, right? And these figure eights could be as low as I want them to. If it fatigues your arm to have it up here, do them down here where you're drawing your figure eight nice and low, and then draw them both. You can start to notice how I'm letting my hands, instead of trying to keep everything parallel, now I start to really let a little bit of more angles kick in. So now I'm kind of drawing these figure eights, but letting my hands get involved. Little kind of Mr. Miyagi, paint the fence, right? So, you know, my idea with today was to kind of maybe expose a couple different things, and coming back to that very simple club maneuver where you swing out to the side and you come back to the center. That's a really nice way to get started with manipulating the club, crossing midline a little bit. And then once you've got both clubs involved, now you're really trying to produce those movements the same on each side. So there's some decent benefit there. So does anybody have any questions or comments off of what we've got?
You know the figure of eight when you're lying down for the TGU, and I think it was Mary you were talking to whilst I was doing it. Are you saying it's easier with the legs straight or leg bent, or does it not matter?
If you can get the leg vertical without struggling to hold it there, it actually is a little bit easier to draw the figure eight with the arm straight, with the leg straight. It sounds counterintuitive, but we don't think oftentimes of moving our knee slash hip with that sort of precision. So it is a little bit different when the leg's straight. But like bent knee.
No, I just think I actually found it easier with a straight leg because I struggled to bend my knee. So as long as I can still do it with a straight leg, then that's actually easier.
Definitely. But don't avoid the one that's tougher.
No.
That there's some gold to be mined out of that because it is the challenge there that's and you know, do a couple with the leg straight, do a couple with the leg bent, and try to connect those two. It is challenging. It had actually been a really long time since I tried the one with the, you know, laying on my back, doing the one with my knee. And there was, when I was demonstrating, don't tell anybody, but about halfway through my demo, I was like, am I still doing a figure eight? I think I'm doing this right. I better stop and talk some.
Yeah.
Nice.
Any other questions or comments?
Lot to take in, but it was good.
Excellent.
Brilliant, mate. So all of those drills are now just going to become staples of the project, and the sort of emphasis on basics and building blocks just can never be too much. I mean, particularly those building blocks with the TGU, and I think what we commonly find is one of the biggest challenges is once in the seated position is lifting the hips and drawing the knee under, and I think the drill for lifting the hips from the elbow, I think, is going to be a great building block for that.
100%. 100%. So that bridge at the elbow, just as a final thought here, as you're, and you know, I'll give you a couple different angles on it. So once I'm here and I create that position where I'm really trying to extend that hip, yeah, I want that to happen in a nice controlled fashion. Start with, and where this arm is doesn't matter, right? Start with just breaking ground. Make sure you're pushing the ground away, right? And so as you're doing it, you're starting, and we don't want to ignore the straight leg. That's also pushing down into the ground, but it's like 10%. This is where 90+% of the work goes. And then as you get better at that, you can work on extending the hip just a little bit more each time. Obviously, performed on both sides. But make sure you're pushing that ground away with that base arm so we stay stable. You never want to feel like, as you're in this position and you go to bridge, if this collapses, don't bridge. Take a second, boop, push that ground away, only bridge as much as you can with this shoulder staying solid. So we never want to accept losing position to produce the other movement. Push that ground away, then work on extending the hip a little.
Cool.
That's magic, mate. Absolute magic. Can't thank you enough for this. It's just filled with gold.
Awesome. Well, let's see if there we go. I don't know if any of your other guests have played around with some of the graphics that
no, mate, this is a first.
Apple and Zoom have this little this little thing here. And then, of course, everybody's favorite.
A great way to close it out, mate. Well, once again, obviously speaking on behalf of everyone here, that was brilliant. And
Thank you.
the little nugget of building blocks is absolutely what everyone's after. Any one fancy move or whatever it just, it's just a move for its own sake. The building blocks is what feeds into authentic movement and then has use elsewhere. So I will hopefully speak to you again, mate, and try and entice you into a follow-up session whenever you've got any availability.
Absolutely. The pleasure, the honor's mine. You guys are all just amazing, and I'm thrilled to have had the opportunity to be here, and just keep up the hard work. You guys are battling and working hard all the time, and it's amazing. So with Steve's guidance and the support that you guys have amongst each other is just amazing. I wish more people had groups and communities like this. So you guys keep after it. If I can ever be of assistance in the future, please let me know. And if anybody has any questions moving forward off of what we did today, Steve, please let me know, and I'll get you whatever information you need.
Cheers.
Thanks, Brett.
Guys. I will see you all both in the forum and on Wednesday.
See you on Wednesday.
Brilliant session. Shut up. Thanks,
Yeah.
Brett. Just